heaven, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for another wonderful opportunity you've given to us to come here this evening to learn essential tools that will help us to excel in life. It is your desire that your children shall be self-sufficient, not to borrow, but to lend to many. Lord, we pray that as we go through this series tonight once again, use your servant in a mighty way. We pray for the audience joining. We pray that you grant us a receptive mind and a teachable heart. Blessed be your holy name, for we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to ask how we are faring. Are we well? Thank God. We want to go straight and see what we can do this evening. You should be reminded by now that this is the 6th presentation in day 3. We are nowhere near closing, so don't think we are finishing now. We have a lot to do. And I will entreat everybody to continue to follow us, either online or physically present here. It is better to learn, and it is better to get information, particularly when it prepares you not only on earth, but for the kingdom yet to come. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the voice of nature. In other places, if I were giving this same presentation, I would have titled it, When the Senior Brother Speaks. There is a reason I do so. You know, when God created the world, the senior-most profession he gave is what we are going to talk about. All the other professions that have come over the years have tried to help us build our economy right. But this is the senior brother. And tonight, the senior brother will speak. And we are saying the voice of nature. We want to take some few questions. But before we do, yes, let's take the questions first. Then we'll go back and take the tablet for the evening. Review questions. Question 1. What did you learn from the morning's presentation? You know this question is always ready to be asked. I don't know whether anybody will want to answer so we can recognize you. What did you learn? Share with us. Yeah, I've seen one hand. Could you please come and share with us briefly? What did you learn?
I learned that every individual has something.
Including yourself, I suppose. Good. Then I ask my general question. This question, I will not ask you to explain. I just want us to acknowledge it. Have you developed any new idea? Have you developed any new idea so far? If you have, or you are in the process of developing a new idea, could you raise up your hand? Let's acknowledge it. Thank God. Glory be to God. Glory be to God. What was the morning's tablet? So who is speaking now? Who is speaking? Let me acknowledge you. I wish I could see those at the far end too, so that... Okay, my sister, come and share with us. The tablet we took in the morning.
Good evening, all. The wars of nations are fought to change map, while the wars of poverty are fought to map change.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm sure we are absorbing something from these sayings. They contain some amount of knowledge which can always pinch you to do things in certain way to bring good results. Any question you want to ask from the morning's presentation? Any question? Any question? All right. We want to thank God. So we'll go back to the tablet for the day. Go back and let's take our tablet and see how it goes. It's so simple. It looks long, but simple. Have you seen it? What does it say? It says, money is multiplied in practical value depending on the number of W's you control in your life. And there are 4 of them. What you do, when you do it, where you do it, and who you do it with. Money is multiplied in practical value depending on the number of W's you control in your life. And the W's are 4. What you do, when you do it, where you do it, and who you do it with. If you listen to this clearly, you realize that if you can do something, you will really see money in real value. So you look at it carefully. If you do something, if you abuse any of the 4 W's, you miss it. Let us pray. Our Maker, we want to thank you once more. As usual, we acknowledge the weakness and feebleness in us. And we appreciate your kindness and your glory that you have always given us. This evening, we want to hide behind your glory and humbly request your presence to lead this program. Touch our hearts. Touch our lives. Touch our minds. We plead with you, Savior. When we think, direct our thinking. When we plan, sieve it and let us conclude on the good ones. When we search, direct us so we can find. In all these, speak to us and let's hear your voice. In Jesus' name. Key text for this evening, and we are speaking on the voice of nature, otherwise called when the senior brother speaks. We are reading from Genesis chapter 3, and we read verse 23. I have told you, and I'll repeat it anytime I get to this stage, that our focus in everything we do is the Bible. We are God's people. We will never deviate from the Bible and do anything. For the Lord has said, without him we can do nothing. And as Christians, our sole book is the Bible. Whether we eat or we sleep, whether we walk or we sit, the Bible is the foundation of everything we do. And for that matter, I will never stand here and do a single presentation without connecting it to the Bible. Secondly, if you gain all the wealth in this world and you are acknowledged as the most wealthy person in the world and you lose your salvation, what is the value? What is the value? Useless. It is for this reason we will always want to situate our wealth in the context of our salvation. So we are eager to get wealth, yes. We are eager to move from poverty, yes. But all these things will be done in the context of salvation. I will never visit any shrine. I have told Jehovah, if I have to die, I want to die at the cross of Jesus. Let me tell you something. Some years back, some 18, 20 years ago, I felt critically sick. I actually knew I was going to die, honestly speaking. And one evening, I told my wife. Then we had married barely about 3-4 years then. Said, I'm sorry I have to tell you this, but in case I don't get up tomorrow morning, one thing you should remember, I love you. My wife said, you can't tell me this. I want to hear this tomorrow again from you. Then I was renting an apartment, and then the landlord called my wife and said, one of the traditional priests just walked in a couple of minutes ago from a distant community, that the gods have told him that our landlord is a king of the area. The gods have informed him that I was going to die that night. And in our tradition, nobody dies in the house of a king. If somebody dies, the family will have to pacify the god. And it is expensive. The requirement is expensive. So if you suspect your person will going to die, you first have to evacuate him or her to somewhere before he dies. So that traditional priest had come to tell the king to tell my wife that they should take me out of the home so that I would die outside. Else, they cannot pay the consequence of it. Then my wife said, I want to tell my husband himself. He said, no, he's the one sick. At that time, my whole neck and my head and everything was swollen. I couldn't talk. I could only see people as objects. And my breath was controlled by machines. So my wife came, and the only way they could communicate was to write and put it on a board on the bed I was lying on. Then I read, then I get to know what they want to tell me. Luckily, I could write slightly, though the handwriting was bad because I couldn't control the fingers. So my wife wrote and told me. Then I wrote back and told him that he doesn't control my life. So my wife sent the writing back to the king and said, my husband says you don't control his life. And the news went all around. Seventh-day Adventist church members came that evening to anoint me to death. And everybody, arrangement had been made because I was evangelist for the conference at the time. They've told people by tomorrow morning we'll have to make arrangement how to do this and everything. And my wife was there saying, you should be getting ready for your dark clothes and everything. For tonight, your husband will die. Honestly, this disease had come because I had gone to do evangelism in one community where there's no Christianity. They are all idol worshippers. They attempted to attack me during the program, and 46 people were baptized. During the baptism, one of the new converts died in the river. And I was a preacher. So when I was going out after the program, the chief priest of the village called me and said, you will not go scot-free. You have your fair share of the deal. I promise you. As soon as I arrived home, I was just there, something hit me, and that's how the business started. That night, my wife said, my husband, even if you will die, I want to see the way you die so that I can narrate to people. So he put me on the bed and sat in front of me and had her hand on me and said, I want to keep this hand there till you die. When I lift it, it means your body is being lifted for the morgue. Around 12 midnight, my wife prayed and said, Lord, I leave my husband's soul in your hands. All of a sudden, the room we were living became bright exceedingly. And I could virtually see light penetrating through my eyeballs. So I stretched my hand and told my wife, hold me up. She held me and I sat on the bed. Then she was amazed. So why? I've never been able to rise for almost 28 days. Then I said, get me a napkin. I spoke for the first time. Then she brought a napkin. Something just opened and the whole ear was flowing with bloody water. Everything that was swollen was coming. One cup will fill, they will change it, and they were changing it about 6 times. After the 6th one, I stood from the bed. And I said, I am fine. And my wife was happy. She was singing and praising God. Alone. 5 a.m. we heard a knock. The wife of my landlord. And then he came and said, Mrs. Frempong, what did you do with the body of your husband? And I came to the door to open and come and see him hair rolling on the ground. Brethren in the Lord, I want to encourage you to believe in Jesus. People have gods. People have evil powers. People go to all those places. I tell you, they are only using tidbits of power in this world. The one who holds the mightiest of them is Jesus Christ. The only reason we can't testify of it is the partial Christianity we undergo. That is the reason. You just devote your time and see. For the Lord said, who has given me something and that I, the Lord, had never replaced it? Tell me. Who has served me and have neglected him? We don't. But when we are in the hot fire, there are two opposing forces claiming ownership of our lives. So the Lord pulls and says, go your way. I recommend to you, Jesus is the foundation. If you are here and you are not yet committed to Christ, this is the time. Do it. I assure you, you will never lose that you became a Christian. But let us read the Bible and listen to what the Bible says. Genesis chapter 3 verse 23. Listen to it. People think agriculture is not in the Bible. Who told you? In the book of Genesis chapter 3, listen to the Bible. Therefore the Lord God sent him out. Who is the him? Adam. Adam and the wife have sinned. And the Lord saw they couldn't live within the garden. So he sent them out. And listen to the next line that follows. Out of the Garden of Eden. To do what? Till it or cultivate the ground from which he was taken. God is too lovely. I ask myself, assuming you brought a house help, a maid to help you in your home, and you realize the maid is playing with your husband, stealing your money, and then you decide that I'll send her away. I can imagine the way you will hit her with your leg. How many of us will get the patience that when we are saying, oh, even though you are going, when you go and sell and make money? Will you do that? But here is a God who saw that man has sinned and had no place in the garden. Yet when the Lord was seeing them out of the garden, said, Adam and your wife, you are going out. That is the land for you. Go and cultivate the land. So even when he rebukes you, he does so in love. Who told you Jesus is not king? When I see people who don't believe in Jesus, I laugh in my mind. I love him dearly. And I can hear his voice saying, I love you back. Jesus ordered that they should cultivate. So of all the professions in the world, agriculture is number one. Amen. That's why I said, when I'm talking about this, I call it when the senior brother speaks. You are an engineer. Yes, it is good to be an engineer. But engineering came after agriculture. Yes. You are a trader. Beautiful. It came to meet agriculture. You are a teacher. Brilliant profession. It came to meet agriculture. Are you a lawyer? Wow, that's great. It still came to meet agriculture. What about the doctors? Yes. When medical knowledge came, agriculture was there. So you realize that when you read scripture, all the wealthy people in scripture from Revelation, from Genesis to Revelation, when they list their wealth, agriculture formed over 70%. Who told you agriculture cannot make us rich? Unfortunately, we have degraded agriculture to the point that some people think it is the poor and the weak in society who should go into agriculture. Even today, there are some people, when their children go to school and they want to learn agriculture, they say, I remember those days I was teaching in Valley View University. Level 100 students came and I was supposed to teach. I went there and once they said, my mother said I should drop out of the course. I said, why? He said, if I'm coming to do agriculture, then I should better come home because my father was a farmer. He would teach me. Why do I spend 4 years to come and study something that my father has always been doing? Then at least we can save the school fees. And I said, what your father did is not what you are coming to learn. I had to go to the mother to convince her to agree. Today, I want to tell you, if your child wants to do agriculture, let him do it. I have never regretted doing agriculture. And I'm happy because I have been made by agriculture. And at least when I meet my fellow professionals from the other fields, well, maybe they are handsome than me, that I can't challenge. And maybe they are taller and fatter than me, fine. But when it comes to profession, I think I can match them. And I'm happy for that. Do you know that Jesus' parables that he spoke all through were basically about agriculture? And do you know that almost all the early Christians were farmers in one way or the other, either in crops or in animals. Agriculture is divinely ordained. And I tell people, you can take all the other professions, they are good. I've never condemned any of them, they are good. But don't forget to include the senior brother. Let him be with you as well. I want to give some differences between agriculture and something we call agribusiness. Agribusiness is a new concept that is not too old in our world, but not everybody knows what it is. As for agriculture, we know, but many people don't know exactly what we mean by agribusiness. So I'm trying to give a difference between the two. Because today we go to the university, some people are doing agriculture, some are doing agribusiness. They are the same, except there's a slight difference. Now check the word agriculture. Divide the word into two, and you get agri and culture. Do you see that? Now, I don't know. I think the name has had an effect on us as Africans. So we do agric as if we are practicing culture. Do you understand? You see, when you go back to our traditional home, our elders will tell you, this culture, so you can't do anything about it. Who has ever done culture and has been paid? When you obey cultural principles, are you paid? So our foreparents do agriculture and they don't care about payment. And one thing is, you enter a family, they are all planting cassava. Everybody, the son will come and plant cassava. The next one, when it says, so for us, we always plant cassava. Culture. They hardly even analyze to find out whether the production they are doing is going in the positive or negative. So they wake up and they go to farm. Whether they are making lots of gain, that's not a problem. For us, we have to do culture. And sometimes when they meet in the palace, you hear them say that we are farmers. And that's all. So I am thinking that I'm publishing a paper very soon. And the title of the paper is The Culture of Agriculture, the Dilemma of the African Farmer. Because I've realized that the culture in it is affecting us. Agriculture is not because of culture. And I'm happy now we have agribusiness. So at least when we divide it, we will get agric. And then what is? Business. And gradually, with the concept of agribusiness, people are getting to know and understand that agriculture is no more done for fun, but for business and for profit. Now, what is agriculture? Check the simple. I am not defining it. I'm just stating something to give you a fair idea because we are not in the academic classroom. It says agriculture covers the production of crops, then production of animals, and related substances like mushroom, honey, etc., as well as agricultural research and development. So you plant crops, you rear animals of all kinds, you produce related, in fact, mushroom and honey, we call them non-traditional agriculture. Because traditionally, we didn't know we could produce these things at home. We always got them from the wild. So we call them non-traditional products. When you produce any of these, you are doing agriculture. But entirely, you realize that this is not all agriculture. Those that fall outside this definition are more than those inside. And if you ask me, by the grace of God, I have gone through crop production, animal production, non-traditional. I am there, and I'm working for the government as agricultural research scientist. So, of all the parameters they have gone through them, don't you think I should be happy? I am very happy. I am a proud agricultural scientist. So happy to be one. But what is agribusiness? Let's look at that. All the difference. But before we do, let's see agribusiness. What does it do? Agribusiness cover a wide range of things. In simple language, I tell you, agribusiness is businessizing agriculture, if there is any word like that. That is deriving the business portion of agriculture or converting agriculture into business. Then you are doing agribusiness. And in our normal saying, all agribusiness ventures are still under agriculture. Just that you are only making it real, where you are really analyzing to see profit and loss. So let's look at the categories we have. Category A, transportation of agricultural produce. Any car, any aeroplane, any train, any bicycle, any machine that transport agricultural produce from one place or the other, whether foodstuff, whether equipment, whether chemicals, once you are into that, you are under agriculture. That's agribusiness. So all those drivers converting foodstuff from the rural areas, they are part of agricultural sector. So if you are appointed a minister of agric, they come under you. Then the B, you come to the B section, sales and marketing of agricultural produce. You know why I'm taking time to do this? Because when we say we're going to talk about agriculture, some people say, me, I can't go to farm. No. Farming is just one of the about 20 different portions of agriculture. So I'm trying to expand so that you look at which part of the value chain you can also fit in. It is not my hope that every person seated here will take a cutlass and hoe and go to the bush to farm. No. That is not my expectation. That's why I'm taking time. So sales and marketing of agricultural produce. For example, raw material, raw or processed materials, export and import, including sale of food and foodstuffs. So somebody can say, look, I want to export something to another country. You are doing agribusiness, and it's brilliant. Someone say, I want to process something. I see watermelon on the street, oranges, mango. People buy and they eat. I will want to process them into bottles and sell. And it's business. Number 3, agro-processing. I'll delve much into it. It is one place there is money. Agro-processing. Today there is a business that is reigning in Ghana. Young men are into it. All of a sudden it is shaping everything. Coconut water sales. Do you sell it here? You drink it here? Hey, let me tell you what they do. They don't need any machine. I'm going to talk about coconut today, particularly for those of you who are on retirement. They just get the coconut fruit. Have 500 ml container, 1 liter, 1.5. They crush it and pour the water nicely into it and bottle it nicely and put it in the fridge. Try it one afternoon and you will stop taking all these carbonated drinks. And in Ghana, the 1 liter is sold 15 cedis. You can convert it to naira and tell us the cost. 1 liter is sold 15 cedis. 765 naira. 1 liter. And you know what the guys do? They put it in a nice tricycle and put on traffic light where there is joy. And people are in traffic and they are say, this is what get me 1 bottle. If I'm lucky and there are 4 in it, everybody will take 1 bottle. Shh. And people are making money. Today when you go to Ghana's hospitals, coconut water is prescribed at the hospital. They write that what is happening to you, you have to drink 100 fruits of coconut within 60 days. And then you'll be drinking it. When you are done, you go back and check the lab test and it is cured. You can start it. You see, as soon as I will be doing a certain presentation tomorrow evening. It will hurt me if you don't come. And I'll tell you, when I start, you will understand. I keep swallowing some words because they are into that. Anytime you hear a problem, behind every problem is money. Tell you this world. Anytime there is a problem, when you see people lamenting, and here in Nigeria, this is money behind the problem. Just go beyond the problem and there's money. So if you hear that in Ghana they are selling it, who told you if you do the same thing and you put it here in Abuja, people will not buy? My goodness. You make money. Before people become aware and they will follow you, you have already gone. You give yourself a brand. Give you a nice name and give a label on the bottle. Fresh organic coconut water. And you see people calling, people say, I'm going to town, could you get me 2 bottles? Could you get me 1 bottle? And I tell you, in 3 months, if your economy doesn't change, I will be surprised. And somebody say, where will you get the coconut? I will show it to you. Even me in Ghana, I can tell you where you can get coconut in Nigeria. I am an agriculturist. Don't you know that? And I don't study agriculture in Ghana. I study agriculture in the world. Every commodity you mention, I'll tell you the world where they grow it best. Because I cannot study only in Ghana. What is the essence of that? Number 4, those who are into agricultural financing, banks, financial institutions who give loans and support to our farmers, they are all into agriculture. But they don't know. They will prefer to be called, to be associated with the business world. Yes, we understand, but they are doing agriculture. That is the 5th category of people. Sales and marketing of agro inputs, and you know them. Fertilizer, various agrochemicals. I'm talking about herbicides. In fact, professionally, let me correct this before somebody puts me on the spot. Naturally, in agriculture, when you say agrochemical, fertilizer is one of them. But people don't know that. And so people think the agrochemicals start from the herbicides, the pesticides, and co. Yes, but when we meet like this and we are not in the academic and professional level, we pretend to be illiterates in this and dissociate the fertilizer so that we can make a point. So fertilizers, agrochemicals, agricultural tools and equipment, I'm talking about tractors, hoes. If you deal in any of this, either importation, distribution, outlet sales, you are doing agriculture. And if you saw the first point, I'm sure you are not aware that the man who prepares the tea, the fruits vendor on the roadside, anybody who sells either cooked food or raw food, you are doing agriculture. Now with this, can we actually say the percentage of the population that are not part of agriculture? After I've explained all this, can you tell me? Very negligible. We are all into it, either knowingly or unknowingly. Now, how is agriculture in Africa like? You see, I want to encourage you something. Africans have a problem. Wherever I go, I say this thing. Do you know that when you listen to our radio stations and our television stations, our journalists prefer to speak the ill of our countries than the good things? I met some German friends who were in Ghana doing something, and they must say, but you people, you are good. But when I listen to your radio, no. You polish your country bad. And it is true. The day I stepped foot last week when I was coming to Abuja, I got to Lagos. I needed to find 1 or 2 things to clear my way. And the people I meet, everybody I meet, hey, it's Nigeria, you do here, corruption day here too. Here. I took a taxi from one spot to another, and the 15-20 minutes we spent in the taxi, he was able to tell me all the negatives of Nigeria without mentioning one positive thing. So when he finished speaking, I said, but I think Nigeria is a good place. Okay, if you wait, they see I'm like that. My goodness. In as much as there could be all the negatives about our nations, we should be able to project the positive ones as well. There are many good things about Africa. But we want to shelve that one and speak ill. Let me tell you. Do you know that of all the continents in the world, Africa is the only equatorial continent? Do you know that? Those of you that did geography, you know this. Why do we call it equatorial continent? Because the only continent that benefits from the 2 principal lines, the equator and the Greenwich Meridian, all of them pass through Africa. We are the only continent. Whereas we need sunshine, humidity, wind, and other things to survive, Africa is the only continent that has the average of all the parameters of the climate. The other continents have the extremes. Either too much coldness or too much something. God gave us the average. Tell me one mineral that the Lord put in the soil in this world that you won't find in Africa. If we were to do our things well, people were to queue and take visas to come to Africa. But what do we see? The opposite. When you come to agriculture, no continent beats us. Sometimes Australia try to make noise that they have a good fertile land. They cannot beat Africa. A hen swallows maize. It goes through the whole alimentary canal and it defecates it. It germinates and yields fruit. Hallelujah. Who told you our land is bad? Tell me. So powerful a land. 40% of the world's resources are found in Africa. 40%. The remaining continents share the remaining 60%. Go to Asia and they will tell you they don't have that land. If China were to have part of Africa's land, they will rule the world. You know what they are doing now? They are mimicking cocoa growing land in China to take over Ghana, Nigeria, and Ivory Coast. Recently, I was speaking with one of my professors. He said, they are joking. We have the natural one. They are doing artificial soil to grow cocoa. I'm telling you, we are aware of that. We just throw the cocoa down and it is growing. And it is growing. Sometimes I see Africans and we are not proud of our nation. I say, wow. Is it not because you have been brainwashed to think that everything African is bad? When the Prince Charles is being coronated and he's sitting and they are calling him prince and doing everything, that one is beautiful. When an African king is being coronated, that is evil. Is it not the same thing? Coronation and coronation, what is the difference? In Africa, we have sunshine, we have rainfall. In Africa, our temperature, humidity, good. In Africa, our soils are averagely well. Good soils, relatively compared. Apart from nitrogen and phosphorus that give us sometimes problems, but we can still manage them. Do you know that if the whole world were behaving like Africa, global warming will be a pattern of the past? We are contributing to removing carbon. You know that. I think these are basic information we should know as Africans. Now, Europeans are paying African presidents to try and do carbon extraction by creating more ways to absorb carbon to stop global warming and climate change. Europe is leading. The Americas are contributing massively. Africa is the one always subtracting their negative effects. If we were doing the same thing Europe and Americas were doing, the world will crash by now. And yet we are not happy we are in Africa. Rivers and other water bodies are there. Do you know that it is only in Africa that virtually every river you see you can drink? There are some continents, if you see the river, it is either too salty or too bitter. Some of the rivers are in some of the continents, even a fish cannot survive in it. But here, even the water flowing through the gutter, there is catfish in it. Our vegetation and wildlife, you dare not touch them. And the West, and well, let me say West for the sake of the use of the word, human resource. Very brainy. Africans are intelligent. But we've made ourselves to believe that the white man is better than us. Who told you? Tell me what the white man can do, we cannot do. You see, many of these scientific discoveries they do outside Africa, they have an African behind it. Many of them are African oriented. But when they come to publish it, you hardly will hear the name of the African in it. Let us be proud of our continent. And agriculture is doing well. However, we have a challenge. And I must not hide this from you. Agriculture in Africa is facing a lot of problems. I will enumerate a few of them. One of the biggest problems of agriculture is diseases. We are not able to control it well. Well, I will not ask you to give any blame, because I know the first you will talk about is the leadership. And I'm aware of that. Pest will damage your crop. Crop losses due to storage. A farmer will struggle and harvest crops only to keep them somewhere and they all go perish. And sometimes when you tell the young man to go to say, it's a challenge. Low and no agricultural financing. You want money to even go into agriculture. Banks are not ready to give you. Do you know why? Insincerity. In Ghana today, it is difficult to get a loan for agriculture. Nigeria will be the same. Good. Some years back, they gave farmers loans to go into agriculture. Say, I'm going to plant maize, 100,000 acres. They give you money. I'm going to plant soya bean, so and so acres. Do you know what they will do? They will plant the crop, harvest it completely, and evacuate all the seeds, the grains from the field. Then they will set the bare farm on fire and scream that they didn't harvest and fire outbreak has spoiled everything. Then they will bring the bank people to come and see it. Everything was burnt. Meanwhile, thousands of bags gone. So the bank says, okay, we can't do it for you. Marketing is a problem. We have difficulties in land acquisition. Sometimes to even get a parcel of land is a problem. Land tenure systems in Africa is complex. In Germany, I have a friend there. Because of our cultural exchange programs, we do visit each other, talk and do all that. He tells me, look, in Germany, do you know how they do the agriculture? If you're a young man, an old man, young lady, whoever you want to do agriculture, all you need to do is take a decision that I want to do agriculture. Then you decide where you want to do it. Then there's an office you go and inform them. They will link you to the one who takes custody of lands and give you the 100 acres you want. They ask you your plan, you show your business plan and everything. So they know you are serious. The next thing the government does for you is to get you tractors to plow the whole land for you, free of charge. 100 acres. And if it is soya bean you want to plant, they give you the seed that you can plant for the whole 100 acres. They say, continue. If this was done in Nigeria, don't you think people will stop their work and be farmers? And that's what they are doing. Agriculture is so difficult in Africa. Transportation, you plant the crop. Even when it is mature, how to bring it to the town to sell is a problem. Post-harvest loss, the crop will yield. Then the prices are so low, you attempt to hold on a while and then the crops are rotten. The crops don't wait for you. Extreme weather condition. Sometimes when you're supposed to get rain to plant, it is shining. Sometimes when you need the sun to dry your crops, it is raining. It's not a friendly thing. Even seeds, quality seeds to get is a problem. The few seed producing centers produce, and they are expensive. What about technical support, research? And this one, I am in it, so I will defend it somehow. You see, the farmer will say there is no research support. The research scientist will say there is no viable farmer. Do you know why? Our farmers have put in their minds that they know what to do. You are not the one telling them what to do. If you are not lucky and you get to the field and you are young, they won't listen to you. I went to one farmer's farm. When I got to say, Mr. Agriculture Officer, I know you are coming to tell me this. Me, I have done farming for 47 years. My father was a farmer. My father's father was also a farmer. So for me, as of farming, that's what I've done. I know how it is. All these crops, I planted them. Meanwhile, the son had hinted me that the father would never listen to me. So I went through his farm. He had over 50, 60 acres of yam. Then I realized a number of the yams were infected. And the leaves were crumpled. And once the leaves get crumpled, it affects the tuber in the mound. So I came back and I said, I'm going back. He said, did you see anything wrong? I said, oh, everything is perfect. I said, I told you. I told you. Me, I am good. Then I said, I want to get some of the varieties to plant in my farm. I said, which of them? I said, oh, the ones that all the leaves have been crumpled. Can you get me the seed? I want to plant it. It looks nice. I've not seen it elsewhere, but I saw a lot of them in your farm. He said, oh, that one, it's a special variety. Oh. It's a special variety. Then the son said, Daddy, do you know what he's talking about? I said, oh, let's go. When I planted, they were not like this. Oh. But I thought you said it's a special variety. So they were not like this, but so does it mean it is sick? But you are a Greek officer, you will tell me. I said, yes, it is sick. And it is sick, and you say you want to go and plant it. I said, I don't need it. But I couldn't come to tell you, because if I came and I told you some of your yam were sick, you would not agree. They said, so what do I do? I say, you are coming home. Agricultural insurance, dangerous. You don't have it. In Europe and the other parts of the world, they have insurance scheme for agricultural farmers. They insure your poultry farm. They insure your cattle field, everything. So if you lose them, you can get them back. But in Africa, who will insure your farm for you? Except Jesus Christ. Despite all these challenges I've enumerated, I want to tell you that agriculture is still viable than a large number of businesses in Africa. So don't look at it completely bad. I will not be fair if I made it look like everything is gloomy. That is why I had to go to the negative for a while. So how are we getting it? 4 things matter. And you keep this. I will not speak to them. I will just mention them and move to agribusiness because we don't have time. For you to succeed in agriculture, this is what you need. You need to increase yield. Increase yield. Now, we are no more talking about size of farm. We are now talking about quality of yield. So if you have 1 hectare, I have 1 hectare. How much do you get from your hectare is the problem. That's what we are looking at. How many kilograms of grains do you get from that your 1 hectare? That's what we are looking at. So now research is converging at increasing yield on same parcel of land. Because it is going to get to a point where land scarcity will become real. Then we also need to strengthen bargaining power. The farmer must be empowered. And I say it again, the farmer must be empowered because it is only farmers who are dictated to by their buyers. When you go to the supermarket, are you the one who tells them how much you buy the products there? But the farmer brings it and then the buyer says, I will give you this. When I went to the bush, you were not there. But we don't have that. We need to get that. Then we need to reduce cost of production to increase profit margin. We need to reduce it completely. Wastages in agriculture are too many. And we need to cut it. You buy 1 liter of pesticide. And then you are told that mix 5 ml with 16 liters of water. So that 1 liter should be able to spray 5 acres of your farm. Now you go to the farm and say, that is too small. Then they, instead of the 5 ml, then they put 300 mils into 15 liters. So that thing which you have been able to take care of 5 hectares will just spray 1 hectare and you have to go and buy again. Apart from increasing cost of production, it's also becoming toxic to the fruit and the soil. No wonder many people are complaining the use of fertilizers and agrochemicals is spoiling our land. And I always challenge them. I do know with my chemistry background, I will be a hypocrite not to accept the fact that some of the chemicals are injurious to the soil and the plant. But if every farmer were to use our agrochemicals and fertilizers the way it's supposed to be used, the impact will be minimal. Before, in my country, we certify agrochemicals and fertilizers. Our department does that. And I head that unit. So before you bring anything there, we need a minimum of 3 years to do research before we allow you to sell it in our country. And we will do all we can and tell farmers that if we are to apply it this way, this way, this way, it will become biodegradable. The farmer will get there and say, no. They don't know how stubborn my weeds are. And then they multiply it by 3. So we don't have that from. Back home, sometimes we do what you call agricultural conference. We bring Seventh-day Adventists together, 1 whole day, and we talk about agriculture. We try that. Every profession, we have a day, and I think we can start doing something like that. Once a while, we bring a group of professionals together, and we bring professionals and experts to speak about their job, enlighten them about certain things. Then the fourth thing we have to do is to diversify source of income. You see, you cannot only look for one source. In the morning, I did say here that anybody who has one source of income is a crime. I don't know whether you heard it or you've forgotten. And I still stand by it. And the crime is punishable by poverty. You cannot do that. Let me move quickly to opportunities in agribusiness, somewhere in the middle. 32. 32 is there. If I have to talk about agriculture, I will not finish today, so I want to. But there is something I will say before I do this. Fertilizer usage. Brethren, if you are a farmer here, or you have a farm that people are taking care of, one thing you need to take very much knowledge in is fertilizer application. What is fertilizer? When God created Adam and Eve, there were no fertilizers. God put every mineral that plants needed in the soil. And if you are careful, you hear people say, our forefathers were not using fertilizers. Now, because we are using it, the crops are of inferior quality. I must tell you, if we stop using fertilizers, we can never meet our food requirements. Why? The world has existed for long. Go back into the history books and check the population of Nigeria in 1950. What was it? And compare to the population today. You would realize that it might have almost doubled, if not tripled. Then you ask yourself, during the same period, check the land size of Nigeria and check the land size today. What has happened to it? The same. So population is increasing, but the same land. In 1950, many of the buildings you see in Abuja today were not here. If those grandparents were to come, they would tell you that where this story building is standing, we were farming there those days. So it tells you that population growth is putting pressure on land requirements. And we have been farming over this land for long. Definitely, we cannot enjoy the same benefit that our parents enjoyed in 1950. So it is good. But let us apply fertilizer according to the inscription on it. Anytime you buy fertilizer, if you don't understand, please get an agriculturist to explain to you. Don't over-apply. It is dangerous. You may be looking at it at the economic point of view to say, I am wasting money. I am looking at it from the scientific point of view. It has impact on our soil. It has impact on the food we are going to eat. If you are not clear, and back home in Ghana, people will call me and say, Elder, I bought fertilizer, I'm going to apply to this, and how is it? Every fertilizer, we designate the type of crop that it should go for. I'll explain to you why. The three key nutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, which name we use to label fertilizer we call NPK. Do you know that every crop's requirement of these three nutrients vary? For example, nitrogen is basically a nutrient that is required for vegetative growth. So when you have much nitrogen or adequate nitrogen, the crop grows well. And one of the common symptoms you see that you have enough nitrogen is fresh, broad leaves with green color. Then you know your nitrogen is fine. Do you know that nitrogen does not contribute to flowering and fruiting? Did you know that? It is not its role. So if you have enough nitrogen in the soil, and that nitrogen alone is there, your crop will never flower. If you want your crop to flower, the nutrient that engineers flowering is phosphorus. That is the P. Now let us assume that we have a crop that we are interested in vegetative growth. And you know that every crop we have interest in what we want. I don't know whether you are getting it. Let me give an example. If you plant lettuce now, what are you interested in? The leaves. Do we eat fruit of lettuce? So if it doesn't flower, does it create any problem? So I can decide to put fertilizer that contains only nitrogen, because I don't need phosphorus for flowering and fruiting. Don't you get it? If I plant something like rubber, what am I interested? I want the stem of the tree to be big. That will give me that rubber substance that I want. So I can decide to apply more nitrogen. I don't need phosphorus. When I plant cocoa, when I plant maize, tomatoes, I need a fruit. So I would need to add on to it by applying phosphorus. Now, if you like, and you go home and you are a farmer or you know a farmer, check all fertilizers designated to cocoa. You see they've written on it NPK 1-19-21. Now, the commonest one we know is NPK 15-15-15. And I believe you know what that means. 15-15-15 means that for every 50 kg of the fertilizer, 15 kilograms is nitrogen, 15 kilograms is phosphorus, 15 kilograms is potassium, giving a total of 45 kilograms. So the remaining 55, where is it? Binding material, the substance that was used to hold these nutrients together, that make up the 100%. So if I get fertilizer and somebody say, yes, the binding material is where the problem is. We won't go into the chemistry this morning to details. But I was making a point. If I take fertilizer for cocoa, they've written on it NPK 1-19-21. You know what that means? Nitrogen is 1. Phosphorus is 19. Potassium is 21. What is the idea behind it? We are not interested in vegetative growth of cocoa. What are we interested? Fruiting. Please, are you getting it? Now, when we have fertilizer for rubber, you see we've written on it NPK 2100. What is the meaning? We want vegetative growth. We don't need phosphorus. So more nitrogen. We don't need it to fruit. We don't need flowering. So 0. Are you seeing the opposite? Now farmers take fertilizer for cocoa. Then they go and apply it to tomatoes. Then immediately doesn't do well. Say, the government of the day, this government is bad. It's destroying agriculture. Because the fertilizer was meant for cocoa, which doesn't need vegetative growth. But your tomatoes need vegetative growth initially before it goes into. So fertilizer for tomatoes will have, you could even apply 15-15-15. Because then you can get the vegetative growth and at the same time get fruiting. Are you there? So don't just buy any fertilizer. Urea, foliar fertilizer, liquid fertilizer. Please, know which crop. If possible, ask. Go to the agricultural offices. People are there who are receiving government salaries. They are supposed to attend to us as farmers. Walk to them and tell them, Mr. Man, I am going to go into this crop. What kind of fertilizer? What kind of weedicide? Ask them. Don't let them chop the salary for free. And you go and we mess up. They go for fertilizer for rubber. And you say, they gave me more than. Do you know what they do? When government says for every 1 hectare, give them 4 bags. And the farmer knows that he has maize farm as well. But they are giving to rubber farmers. So if you have 10 hectares, you go and say he has 15 hectares. So that they will give him more. Then he will use the excess to apply at his maize farm. So you go and apply it to the maize. It will grow vegetatively well, but no fruiting. Then he begins to complain. I have a friend, he's a pastor. He took me to his farm for examination. We were coming. A man had planted soya bean. They were so fresh and beautiful. Large scale. But there was not a single flower. So I branched there. I parked my car and went to the farm. And says, "Sir, is this your farm?" I said, "Yes." "Oh, congratulations. Beautiful farm. No weeds, everything." "Okay." I said, "Yes." I said, "But it appears there is delayed flowering." I said, "Yes, oh, my brother. That's my problem." I said, "What is it?" So the day we came, we had plowed the land. The day we came here to sow the seed, we started, then an old man passed and greeted us. Since then, this crop cannot flower again. I said, "So?" He said, "Yes." So quickly, I walked through the farm. Then the man who was said, "Listen to this, he's an agricultural expert. He will advise you." So the man was following me. Then I picked this fertilizer container. And you know, it is not good to leave plastics on your farm. He had left all the fertilizer sacks, bottles, They were there, so I gathered them. I picked about 4 different kind of fertilizers. They were all nitrogen based. And I said, who applied? I said, me. I wanted them to do well. So who to say? Somebody told me that when it is not flower, I should buy fertilizer. I said, which fertilizer? Me. He told me fertilizer. And you know those who sell, if you walk there and say you like fertilizer, they won't ask you for what. Because they are there to make sales, isn't it? They will sell to you, irrespective of the consequence. So quickly, I told him, this is your problem. You've over-applied nitrogen. So I said, how do I remove it? So I told him, that old man, don't blame him. He has no problem with your farm. Dear friends, if you have a farm, monitor it. And if you want to have a farm, my advice is seek knowledge. Seek knowledge. I have several farmers. Some are lawyers. I have judges, pastors, doctors. And I take sometimes 1 week and then go to their farms to see their farm managers. I put them all on a platform. If you have anything, they just put it there and say, I've seen this. And I coordinate their farms for them. And they are happy. Because you need a professional to touch you. In Africa, when they have a case in court, they know the lawyer is their savior. And they will talk to a lawyer, true or false. When they are sick, they know the doctor is the savior. And they will talk to. But when the farm is not doing well, say agriculture, everybody knows it. Even when they take you to the field and they are supposed to pay you, then they don't want to pay. And what did you do? But this, my grandfather has also been doing it. Ladies, let's look at some opportunities in agribusiness. I'm spending the rest of the time to tell you some of the things we can do to get money. Let me, at this point, inform you that this morning we were looking at the topic, when the baby walks. Did you like it? And you know we didn't finish. God willing, will continue tomorrow. We want to delve into everything there. The first vegetable I want to talk about, I don't know whether you know it. I got a picture, but I've searched through my machine. I wanted to project it. It is called turkey berry. How do you call it here? It is small. Turkey berry. Green in nature. The stem has some thorns on it. I should have the picture. I was searching today to look for it. But I can assure you I'll find it tonight and tomorrow I'll project it for you to see. When you see, you will understand what I want to tell you about. It is the healthiest vegetable in the world. And it works. Oh, if anybody Googles it, you can project it. We call it turkey berry. Green, small. No, it is not Garden X bigger. This one is smaller. And they come in a bunch on one stalk. Green. Turkey berry. Good. Elder, you have it. Thank you. Show it to them. I have all the pictures. Today I was checking. I realized I've left them on my hard disk. So I wasn't getting them. Yes, thank you. You have it there. Do you eat it here? No. There are 2 varieties. The bitter one is there. And the other one is not bitter. I'm talking about the one that is not bitter. It originated from Turkey. That's why they call it so. It is a common... Oh, good. Yes. I think... Yes, this is the one. You haven't seen it before. It's a common vegetable in Ghana. We eat it virtually every day. When you eat this vegetable, the disease we call anemia, loss of blood, you will never have it. When you take somebody to hospital and they say the person is anemic, just come home, take the leaves. Please project it again. Let me show you something. Take these leaves. Praise the Lord. If somebody is anemic, say the blood, the HB is low, these leaves, just take them, put them in water, boil for 5 minutes, and use as tea. Drink morning, afternoon, evening. By 24 hours, go back and check your BP, your blood level. The fruits, very nutritious. It is one of the few vegetables that does not require fertilizer or any agrochemical. Up till now, no insect destroys it. So powerful. I have it on my compound, my farm. In Ghana, we sell it. In fact, today, if we sell 5 Ghana cedis to you, your hand can collect it. Hotels, everywhere. If you have eaten in Ghana before, then you have eaten it. Because we eat it a lot. And it is among the crops that today doctors recommend for us. When you go for this maternal care, mothers are forced to feed their children. In the US, now we are exporting from Ghana. We harvest it and dry it. Then you mill it into powder and bag it and send it to the US. I am telling you, a small quantity goes for $10. It's a very good business. The next one I want to talk about is the popular one we all know. Okra, also called okra. This one is uniform in Africa. Do you know that it starts fruiting 10 weeks after planting? And it is called the poverty crop. The reason we call it poverty crop is that if you plant the size of about this hole, in 10 weeks time you start harvesting. You harvest up to 16th to sometimes 18th week. And every 3 days you will harvest. So once it starts fruiting, every 3 days you see money. So if you are very poor, you get this parcel of land. It is quicker than ritual money. The third one, onion. We also call it shallot. You know, there is a difference between onion. Onion is the big ones, the shallot small ones. And one country, Burkina Faso, are leading West Africa. They are making money. Today, onion and tomatoes contribute significantly to the GDP of Burkina Faso. I tell you, if you are in Ghana and you see the trucks bringing onion down to Togo, they come to Ghana before they branch to Togo. So, I bet you. Meanwhile, the lands we have in Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria, Niger, can all plant it. We can plant it. And it's a good crop. Nobody plants onion and lose. Young men, even though you didn't do BSc agriculture, you can plant any of these crops. And the market, you know, onions don't have post-harvest loss. You know that? No. But when you buy onions in your kitchen, how long do you keep it before it gets rotten? Sometimes they can stay for 1 year. All they need is that their storage should have ventilation. It doesn't like an enclosed space. That's why when you put them in the poly rubbers, then the polythenes, they rot. They keep them. So you see the sack they use to bag them are airy. Yes, they can last long. Is there any stew in this world which doesn't contain onion? Have you seen one before? So it tells you that the market is already there. Everybody who's going to prepare stew, the first thing you look for. What about cabbage? As for cabbage, I don't want to talk about it because it's known already. But let me be very honest with you. If you are a beginner and as we are talking, you intend going into agriculture, don't start with cabbage. I beg you. Cabbage is meant for matured farmers. It has a lot of problems. The moisture content of the plant is so tasty to pests. So it attracts a lot of pests. So most of these farmers, they keep on spraying. That's why some people, even when they travel, they don't want to take cabbage from outside. So we normally recommend cabbage planting for matured and old farmers who can do it as an additional crop. Don't go and start today and say, Elder, when you checked, for me, it is cabbage I took. Then you put your money on it and first time you go, it has a lot of risk. I must be honest. But when you start to a point, you can include cabbage. That is fine. But if you want to invest into the cabbage family, then the senior brother will be ideal. Cauliflower. You know that flower? Yes. Very expensive, you know. You know it's expensive than cabbage itself. Yes. And that one, surprisingly, as close as they are biologically, doesn't have much complications like cabbage. But then you would have to, Yes. Oh, you are helping me. God bless you. That is it. Very good vegetable. I don't know the Naira equivalent, but this thing, if it is in Ghana, this one on the board, they will sell it to you 25 cedis. Aha. So you see, so I'm quoting almost the same price. That's how much you get it. And hotels cannot even get it in Ghana. I don't know. This one, I'm saying it quietly. If you have a Ghanaian friend, don't tell him, okay? Do you know that many of the local farmers in Ghana don't know how to plant it? I'll say it once so that you don't tell them. They don't. And I tell people, if you plant this cauliflower about the size of this hall, the money you make, it will amaze you. And the whole time it lasts is 12 weeks. 12 weeks, you have finished harvesting. So if your friend wants to go for the ritual money, let him go. By the time they finish all the incantation, bring this, bring that, you are harvesting your collective and you are gone. But you go to heaven. You go to heaven, I'm telling you. I am honest. Let them go. They will tell them, go and bring this, go, and then they are walking and trying to look for it. That time you are planting. And you realize that he will make money from the devil, you will make money from God. Because nature is speaking. God gave us nature to solve every problem we have. You see, it is not for any mistake that God waited and created the world before creating man. So when man came, God knew that whatever man needed, he had made provision for it. The only mistake we made is that we think God created finished produce. No. God created raw materials and gave us knowledge to come and continue the rest. So don't never kneel down and pray for table. You won't get it. If anything at all, pray for tree, because that's what God created. He will make provision the tree. You are to make the table out of the tree. Nature speaks and poverty is silent. Why do you sit down and wait? What work are you doing? Me, I have told my friends who are pastors. I said, look, you have a wife, you have children, invest in them. If you were a pastor, you call me, I will set up your farm for you. Your wife will take care. When you retire, you come and resume business for it. At least the only profession that when you do, you feel happy to partake in your own output. Is it not good? How many lawyers want to have court cases so that they will test their lawyering ability? How many doctors want their wives and children to fall sick so that they will experience the medical power of the father? Tell me. How many men want their family members to die so that they will carry their dead body and they know you helped me when I died? But when I am a farmer, I am confident to bring my produce to the table for my children to say, we are eating from daddy's farm. Who told you agriculture is not good? A man was chatting with three of his children. Two of them were doctors and a lawyer. And daddy said, my children, congratulations. You have worked hard. You've made me proud. Then the doctor said, Daddy, we will serve you well. We acknowledge your hard work. The father said, no, I don't need your service. I don't need your service. I said, Daddy, you don't say that. I didn't train you to come and serve me. What if during your service you fail? What will happen? Maybe they were farmers, the father will need a service. There's another crop we call pepper. Is that the same name? How? Is it true that somebody told me the whole of West Africa, the country that consumes the highest amount of pepper is Nigeria? Is it true? Is it? It's one tribe. Well, the person said Nigeria. He didn't tell me. He didn't tell me the tribe. he didn't mention tribe. And you know, this Nigerian came to Ghana. We were having a conference, and we had gone for our lunch. When they brought the food, he dipped his hand and tasted and said, Madam, can you get me more pepper? He said, it's not enough. Say, are you sure? Say, yes. They brought a heap of pepper. Say, yes, now I am eating. Say, don't you know I'm from Nigeria? We eat the biggest pepper in Africa. My brethren, pepper is one of the commodities. It is rich in vitamins. I'm sure you know that. It's a very good thing. Apart from the flavor, it is also saving. Do you know that? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm an agricultural scientist. Do you know that when somebody is about to get stroke, let's say you are at home, you know how stroke begins. Maybe the person is just there, then all of a sudden you see one side shaking, and according to medical practice, you have to rush the person to hospital immediately. But you know that sometimes by the time you say, oh, hold him, oh, bring the car key, hey, bring it, and you lift him, and before you get there, there's traffic on the road. If you are not lucky, by the time you get to the hospital, the person is gone and half is dead. If you have elderly people at home, get powdered pepper, grinded, the smooth one at home. Anytime you see somebody going that way, I have used it for 3 people, including my own mom. So I'm telling you what is right. It's not something I read in a book, it's a real thing. Just take 1 spoon of the pepper powder into water, mix it nicely, and give it to the person to drink. I give you 1 minute. I didn't say 1 hour. 1 minute. All the shaking and everything will go. Instant pepper. It is scientific. It is not spiritual. I'm going to explain to you what that means. Anytime the person is shaking and you see one side is like that, do you know what that means? Blood flow through some arteries at the other side. It's not going through. As soon as the pepper touches the tongue, it escalates. They call it, the medical people give me the name, dilate. It dilates the arteries and be instant and allow blood to flow. And the person can be without the symptom for the next 3 hours, by which time you'd have gotten to the hospital. Pepper is good. And so in my home, we have the powdered one as a first aid. Now you see, we have the sweet pepper, we have the chili pepper, we have the bell pepper. Today in Ghana, the bell pepper, the one that looks like a ball like that, 1 kg is 35 cedis. 1 kilogram. If you want to know any figure I mentioned in cedi, you just multiply by 51. Then you convert it to naira. And that's expensive it is. A woman has about this lane, and she tells me every month she makes close to 10,000 Ghana cedis. Yes, monthly. Yes. It's a good thing. So please, the pepper, the chili pepper, Ivory Coast, they buy it a lot. In fact, my uncle used to plant, and we're always selling it to the Ivorians. I don't know, I think they have a certain industry that consume it. They buy. Pepper is consumed by every organization. And it's also used in some of the food and beverage industries. No one produces pepper and says, I didn't get market. The good news is that it is easily dried. And when it dries, the shelf life goes over 24 months. So when you dry it, even if the market is not right now, you can still get the market later on. It's just a matter of moving. There's another plant, we call it ademe. It is slippery. Today I saw it, I should have shown it to you. They've turned it into bags when we went to the market there. It's very slippery. We use it together with okra. Yes, not exactly this. This one too we take, but there's another one. That one, the leaves are smaller than this. Yes, smaller than, but it's also slippery. I don't know how you sell it, but in our place, wow. People do they farm it 10 hectares. And you know that this one and the 2 of them, they don't need any pesticide. No pest attack them. No. What about egusi? You know egusi? Today, somebody was yesterday? Yes. Today, somebody was talking about it, yes. Egusi is good. And you know, the good thing about egusi is that when you clear your land, you don't need to dedicate the whole land to the egusi. No, it is a counterpart plant. It will say, you plant your crop. I just want to move with some people. That's how they behave. So get your main crop and then you add it. So whilst you are harvesting the main crop, the egusi become a byproduct. But it is even expensive than most of the crops. You know, if you go, they measure a small container, the price they will give you, you'll be amazed. And I know you consume it a lot here. So it means the market's already there. You see, in business, the only thing that brings you back is when you don't have market for it. So if you know that I have a Gushi market and I have a graduated and I want to farm, you can farm 10 hectares of it. They will buy everything. The good news is when you harvest and you get it, you are not forced to sell all at once because it can be there for some time, isn't it? So you can actually wait for the lean season before you sell. And all this I'm saying, and I repeat, I am not saying all of us should go to the farm and start farming. You can also decide that I'm going to be a distributor for egusi. So all the egusi farmers, I will buy from them and package them and bring it to the market centers. So hold on to one side of the value chain. I am not here promoting 100% agricultural production. Green beans, that one is common. We know it. It's a very good vegetable. It starts yielding after 9 weeks, and it will yield up to 17 weeks. One rope of green beans can give you about 80 to 100 of the stalks if the soil is good. This one. I don't know how they sell it here, but in my place, do you know what they do? They will select 1, 2, 3, 4, and they tie it. 5 cedis. I am telling you, it is one of the most expensive vegetable. Very expensive. And I am happy we are seeing this. Those of you who want to go into this, I can assure you, you don't need fertilizer. Because of it is a leguminous plant. So unless the nitrogen base is very weak, it can do self-nitrogenation. Very good. Your only challenge is if you get viable seeds and they germinate, they grow very well. Very well. And there again, 9 weeks, it starts flowering. When it starts flowering and the flowers are pouring down, that's one problem it has. Sometimes it will flower a lot, but you come and all the flowers are down. Once you see that, it means the phosphorus in the soil is low. Get to any agricultural station and tell them you want phosphorus fertilizer. They will ask you which type. Tell them you want foliar fertilizer. Foliar means leaf. It's liquid. At that stage, the crop has started flowering, so you don't need the one you are going to put in the soil before it will move through the stem. So they will give you a liquid one, which you will put in a spraying machine and spray. And instantly, it begins to give you results. And we have the organic one, where the phosphorus is obtained from rocks. It's a common rock in Ivory Coast. I think Nigeria have it, one of your states. I've read about it. So it's been done and it's been packaged in a liquid. So when you take it to your farm, you just put it in the knapsack sprayer. Then you spray. You realize that all the flowers will begin to stay. Instant. Everything, just like medicine. The doctors, all they want from us that when we are sick, we come to them. Is that not it? So that what they know best, they can do. What they don't like is you wait, and when you are about to die, then they carry you on a stretcher. That's when the doctors become angry. Agriculture is the same. Virtually all the problems farmers have, we have solutions to them. But quite a number of them, by the time they are coming to report to you, the harm has been done. And if you are close to an agricultural person, be talking to them. When you go and you see the leaf is something you don't know, ask. Sometimes that something you saw today is just a signal of something that will happen next 2 weeks. And he or she will tell you, do it this way or don't do it that way, and then you get your results. Now we are interested in yield, not the size of the farm. Cucumber. Cucumber is known to be one of the best fruits that does well in almost every part of our continent. Do you know that both the north of Nigeria and south, wherever you plant cucumber, it will do well? Wherever you plant, it will do well. And you see people, and cucumber today, they count it, they sell it in one. So that one, they don't even group it. So when you pick one, then they give you the price you pay. And thousands thousands of young men are walking around. They say there's no job. Then I ask, are you sure? Is it not there's no job that you want to do? Please, when the job is dirty, when the job makes your clothes dirty, it doesn't make the money dirty. I'm sure you heard it. Don't care about how you get the money. As long as it's ethically and religiously right, go ahead. Within a month, sometimes I spend 20 days in the field. When you come and see me with my attire and we are moving, research, you will not acknowledge me, honestly speaking. But I like it because at the end of the day, when I return from the forest, something also returned to my pocket. And I don't remember ever going to buy. Then the person I'm buying from said, "Sir, may I know where you got this money?" I said, "Oh, I'm an agricultural scientist." "Oh, so you work in the bush before? Please, then I'm sorry, I can't sell to you. I only sell to bank managers and lawyers and engineers." Have you heard that before? So go into cucumber. It's very, very lucrative. The only problem with cucumber is that there's a certain pest, particularly getting to the dry season. Because of the moisture content, they are blackish in nature. We call them aphids. Some of them also look white. When you see them, it's like a powder at the back of the leaf. They are all insects. It's not a powder. They have two types, either the black or the white. We have a chemical we use. So when you plant it, before it flowers, the emphasis, before it flowers, get to any agricultural shop, speak to the people that you are planting cucumber and it's about to flower. So you don't want these aphids to come on the leaves. They will give you a small substance. There are two varieties. One is yellowish. You need just about half of teaspoon, 2 grams. Put it in a knapsack spray of 16 liters and spray your farm. They won't come again. And your fruits will be nice. Usually the farmers wait for the fruiting to start before they go and seek the antidote. Don't. It's very important. And when you spray your cucumber farm, let's assume where I am standing is a farm. Spray about 10 meters from here, about 10 meters to the extreme wall there, around the farm. Because during the spraying, some of the insects will move from the farm and hide in the nearby bush. And they will wait for about 2 weeks to come and taste and see whether the impact of the chemical is still there. They will come back. So normally, if you have an adjacent farm, you spray around. If there's a bush, spray around the perimeters. And that is how you drive them away. Carrots. Oh, let me talk about my best friend, lettuce. Lettuce, people call it salad. I don't know whether they call it here too. Yes. We harvest it 6 weeks. If you plant it today, 6 weeks today you are harvesting. Tell me, how many blood money come by 6 weeks? It doesn't. 6 weeks. But the interesting thing is that this one, even if you don't go to the farm, let's assume that you have a certain parcel of land, somebody bought a land, he has not yet started building. A small sandy soil. You can even collect soil into containers, sacks. It still grows. Small container like this, put lettuce seed in it, it will grow big. Its nutrient requirement is small. It doesn't need insecticide. It doesn't need pesticide. It grows. This one, insects don't destroy it. Check it. It's very important. Carrots. Carrot is equally good. And that one, it's obvious. Everybody knows. Carrot, the importance, nobody can tell you. Do you eat cocoyam leaves here? I haven't seen it. Yes. Do you eat the leaves? Oh, then you are missing a lot. Because that's what we eat. The most popular vegetable in Ghana is cocoyam leaf. In fact, I have people who have cocoyam leaf farms. Not cocoyam farm. Oh, you heard me. We have a way we plant it so that it will give more leaf and not the fruits. Hey! Yes, not the product. We don't want that. We want the leaves. During the dry season, the hotels will buy 1 kilogram. You put it in a bag and they weigh. If it weighs 1 kg in Ghana, they buy it 150 Ghana cedis. 1 kg. 150. When you get to the market and you say you have cocoyam leaves, they will beat you before they will buy. I'm telling you. So what we have told some of our Adventist friends, they get a land, then we do what you call dry season farming. You know that? So what we do is that you drill a borehole in the farm. Then you buy a solar panel to power the borehole. You put a poly tank there. If you alone cannot do it, you get 2 or 3 people. Then elders' land is here, madam is here, mine is here. Then we drill the borehole here. We connect pipes to each person's farm. Then we all contribute the cost of the borehole. Then we will use it to. So during the dry season, you have vegetables, you have everything. That is when vegetable is most expensive. You make money. You'll be there, the next person say, oh, my land is behind yours. I saw you had water. Can you extend it to me? So yes. We'll extend it to you. Then we buy a water meter and put on it and start collecting bills every month. Business. And I tell young people, you don't need to do it alone. Come together. What about ginger? So lovely. You know, in the morning I said, ginger, you don't know it. You know that almost all the pharmaceuticals in the world, they use ginger. Many of the drugs have it as one of their ingredients. I must say that most of the cough mixtures are there. Then you come to the beverage industries. They need it in tonnage. Apart from the women who use it in the kitchen. Spices. I'll come to agro-processing. Where you can dry it. You cut it, dry it, and mill it and become powder so that you solve the problem of grinding and those things. And it's expensive. I don't know for Nigeria, but elsewhere in other countries, I know people have 60, 80 hectares of ginger. Oh, okay. Because I know that 1 bag of 45 kg today in Ghana is selling 1,200 Ghana cedis. 1 bag of 45 kg. Not 50, 45. So if you want it, you just multiply 1,002 by 51. That is the price. And yet our industry don't get enough. In fact, people export it outside. And so it's a big industry there. We don't play with it. In the Volta part, the part where we share boundary with Togo, a significant number of our farmers there are into ginger production. The interesting thing is that ginger, like pepper, because of the sharpness of the product, they have less insect attack. Ginger, for one, when you plant it the first year, if you are lucky, the second year you will not have to buy seeds again. Because even if you harvest and a little piece of the rhizome is left in the soil, it regerminates and grows again. The only problem with it is that it likes relatively sandy soils. When I was coming, I realized that from this side going to the north part of Nigeria, the soil will be very good for ginger. Looking at the way it is. When the soil is too clayey, it is not good for ginger. So seek advice. If it is possible, you can't take the agric officer to the farm. Collect some of the soil, but if you collect it, don't disturb it. Put a cutlass, 1, 2, 3, 4, and remove the bulk, put it in a rubber. Come and show it to any agriculturist. He can examine it and tell you what you're supposed to know. On the other hand, if you can take him to the farm, he will examine it. But the key point is, when it is too clayey, don't use it. It makes harvesting difficult. So you need humus to slide sandy soils, which makes harvesting a bit easier. So if you want to go into ginger, my brother, I encourage you with all my strength, look for the market. And I'm talking about market, please. Looking for market, you don't sit on your home. 2 ways you can use your phone. Do you know that sometimes I just get up in the morning and say, I'm going to look for market. I enter every food joint. every hotel, every restaurant, every hospital, every school. Wherever I know people eat, I'll go there. My last stop is always at the market. So sometimes I come to the woman selling the product, say, madam, are you the one selling? How much is it? So I want to buy some. Say, madam, it's expensive. Then my own, if I bring it, how will you buy? Do you plant it? Say, yes. Where is it? When is it going to mature? Will you bring it to me? Then I start. Before you realize, about 3-4 people have given you their contacts. You keep all of them in your contact books. So when your yield starts, don't wait for the crop to mature before you go out to look for market. It will spoil. Sometimes when I plant, I will take pictures of my farm. So, you think I am joking? Look at my farm. Wow, so beautiful. When are you harvesting? See, when it's getting there. So when it's about 2 to 3 weeks to harvesting, I'll call all of them and inform them. You remember I told you I have pepper. It will be due in 2 weeks. I say, okay. Then you make, so when you harvest, you know where you are taking it to. So you can step out of your home one day and just look for market. Every hotel needs vegetables every day. It is a business. One of our prominent actors who was acting movies all over, now that's the job he has been doing. And within 3 weeks, he's built a nice house out of that. He just come to the hotel and say, you give me the list of vegetables you use every week. What's the quantity you need per week? I will supply you. The same market price. If you go to buy it 1K, I'll bring it to you 1K. Do you know why he's saying that? He is going to buy it in the farm and he will get it less than 1K. And every business person will like this, don't you think? Because if I will send somebody from my hotel, I have to give the person lorry fare to take transport and everything, and they'll go and buy it 1K. Now I will sit here, no transport, anything, and you will bring it to me 1K. Which one will I go for? Bring it. Then they will give you, I need maybe carrots this, I need this. These are businesses people can do and shake poverty away. Now, whilst you begin to do this and you begin to earn profit, you begin to do 40, 20, 60. You remember? You begin to take the seed out. You begin to do pay yourself. As you are doing that, you are accumulating funds. When you accumulate enough, you can decide that this job is enough. I won't do it again. Then you establish something and you move on. That's how we move in the business ladder. The rich men we see today didn't become rich overnight. It took them, we call it entrepreneurial ladder. You have to build the first foot before you go to the next one. And then the third, and each one, you are climbing up and up and up. So we need to be cautious about these things. Very important. So Ginger, my brother, I support you with all my strength. Then let me talk about animals. Animal farms. The advantage between animals and crop is that animal farm require a small land relative to crops. And I remember over the period we have mentioned goat, sheep, cattle. Yes, go into it. Goat is very expensive. Today there is a battle. People are saying between goat and cattle, which one has nice meat? Where will you vote? So you realize that when you have these animals, they help. You can get a parcel of land outside the town, and you can do it as a passive business. You get a farm caretaker who will be there over the weekend. Once a week, you go and visit them and see your goats doing well. Every year, you decide to sell. Cattle, for example, is doing well. That is why these Fulani herdsmen, we are unable to fight them. You know that. We can't fight them in West Africa. There's no way. You know why? The cattle they follow around don't belong to them all. Most of them belong to big politicians, kings, chiefs, businessmen. So anytime you attack one of them, it is not that young man you have attacked. You have attacked somebody somewhere more powerful. If they didn't belong to these powerful men, they could have made laws to stop them all of a sudden, don't you think? And today, it has also become business in Ghana. So you see those Fulani men, then you buy the cattle, and they will add them to whoever's cattle they are following. But they will tag yours so that they don't mix up. Then every month, you give them 50 Ghana cedis. That's about 2,500 naira every month. For 12 months, the cattle matures. That's maintenance fee. And then they take it and you go and sell. But when you calculate the cost of buying the young cattle and the maintenance fee for 12 months, the profit margin is over 800%. And today, I know pastors, I know big elders and other people who have 10, 20. So anytime they have problem, and I'll talk about emergency fund, what you do when there's financial crisis in your home, how to manage it. They'll quickly call, please sell one and send it to me. They drop their money and they solve their problem. Instead of them going to borrow, they'll prefer to have that. And it is one principle of life that don't keep all your businesses around you. It's illegal financially. You have to diverse the location and the product. So you have to hide some of them somewhere. In fact, I have seen 2 in Nigeria here. I'm thinking. I've spent 5 days, but I've seen 2. I am thinking. When I finish thinking, I'll tell you what I thought of. Don't ask me, because I won't tell you for you to be ahead of me. Oh, you want to. Partnership. I agree. Then when you come to the bird category, you know guinea fowl. Do you have them here? Hey, it's a very good delicacy. And now it is being exported to the US. I don't know whether you know. Yes, people, they roast it and preserve it nicely and package it to the US. And people are consuming. The normal chicken, this morning we talked about poultry. Poultry is good. I have seen something. I pray it is not here. Every poultry farmer you talk to will give you all the reason why poultry is not good. Have you realized that? They will mention the challenges, feed, and the birds can die. And they will tell you all this, yet they are still in it. The reason is that they think that if the number of people into poultry are less, price will always be high. My dear brother, there is no business in this world that doesn't have risk. Just last week before I came here, I was stocking my wife's fish pond for her. And one of my boys I asked to do the job made a mistake. And the oxygen supply was reduced. Within 6 hours, we lost 6,000 pieces of tilapia. 6,000. And I was standing. So quickly I had to withdraw money to go and buy another one. And I'm walking. I haven't fallen. Every business. And this 6,000, if I tell you the price, it's not the money 6,000. Oh. The number 1, 2, 3. So assuming that even we sell 25 cedis, if you want to know the value, then you multiply 25 by 6,000. And if you want to bring it into naira, then you multiply again by 51. That's millions of naira we are talking about. Every business, there is risk. In fact, choosing to come to church is a risk. Why do you sleep? Don't you know that one day you can sleep and you not wake up? So even going to bed to sleep is a risk. And the biggest risk in the world is not taking risk. You didn't hear that. The biggest risk in the world is not taking risk. Everything, eating is a risk. Somebody ate and the food choked him and he died. Don't you know? When you are walking by the roadside, do you know it's a risk? Any driver can lose control and hit you, and that's the end. So life is generally risky. Every profession you take, there's occupational risk. You don't know that? Yes. So don't let the little risk in one to say, I hear it is this. Whatever you hear or what you didn't hear, there is risk. But when the risk comes, you don't stop. You marshal up another force and see how you can overcome it. Do you know people who we say they are experienced? People who are experienced are those who met risk and they managed to overcome the risk. So you have to manage to overcome it. Anytime you fail or there is a collapse of part of your business, God is saying write remedials and get it better. The grade C you got was not right. Right till you get A. That's what we do. You know quails. You know quail egg is expensive than the normal egg. And it is used for medical treatment as well. And you can deal in it. Can you imagine that you have about 2,000 quails and everybody who need the egg or whatever will come to you? Where will poverty be? When you are sick and you don't go there for 3 days, they are laying eggs. They won't say that because our master is sick, we will stop laying eggs. Passive income. Bees. Annie. Excellent. I just talked about it this morning. Fish farming. And fish farming, let me be quick to add. As Seventh-day Adventists, you are not supposed to go into catfish farming. Everybody will give you the reason why catfish is more lucrative than tilapia. But I have told you, your faith and the Bible shall be the center of every decision. For the Bible has said in the book of Corinthians that we have the time and every luxury to do everything, but not everything is helpful. Let me tell you the reason why people like catfish. Catfish, let me say it in literal language. I don't want to use the terms. If you have a particular pond that can take 1,000 pieces of tilapia, that same pond, if you were to stock it with catfish, they will stock 2,000. Do you get it? And they will survive. So somebody will spend money to construct a pond. Then you are the kind of time, so you will put 1,000 tilapia pieces. If I have spent this huge money, why do I put 1,000 when I can put 2,000? Then they would rather want to go. Number 2, catfish is a bit tough. In fact, even if all the water drains, catfish can survive for 48 hours without water. But tilapia can survive a maximum of 30 seconds. By 1 minute, it is gone. The Lord was not mistaken when he ordained some part of the fish and the meat for us to consume. Let's stay in that. Don't follow the advertisement and the coercion. People go, oh, if you want to go into that, I urge you, go into this. No. Normally, let me tell you the strategy they use. If they want to coerce you into going into catfish, when you start, they will tell you, there are certain small organisms in your pond. Get 3 or 4 catfish. They will consume those small things for you. Then you see, you go and bring 3 or 4. They say, oh, the 3 is not enough. Make them 10, 15, so that they can consume those small things. Then you bring 10. Then the time of harvesting, those 10 have become big. Will you throw them away? Then you sell them too. Immediately you get attracted and feel like, then I think it's fine. Okay, you know what? Pastor will not come here. Elder will not ever come here. Let me put them in. When they ask me, I'll tell them that I'm using them to check certain organisms. Then you change your mind. Please go for the right one. As for the tilapia, your first harvest, usually you will not get the best because you are learning how to handle them. They are a bit delicate, I must be honest. And it takes 5 months to harvest them. But after 5 months, you have graduated from BSc tilapia production, first class. You remember that second session, you are good to go. You know all their reasons, their don'ts and do's and everything. And you can handle them nicely. All you need is a regular source of water. Because when you put them in ponds, you have to change the water occasionally. Now, what kind of pond would you want? If you have a waterlogged area in your farm or in a certain land, particularly where people have abandoned, they feel like there's too much water there, go and buy that land and dig. We call it earthen pond. We line the base with some clay material, and then you have fresh water in it. You put your fingerling in it, and you have your fish growing for you. Now, fish feed has been made that is being sold. We import most of them. Africa doesn't have fish feed mill, so most of them are imported. So as I'm talking, you can decide that you sell fish feed. Feed for catfish is different from tilapia. In fact, even tilapia, every age the feed is different, and we use the diameter of the feed pebbles. So we have the starter mash, which is smooth for the younger ones. We have the 2 mm, 3 mm, 4, 5, 6 going. So as they are growing fatter and bigger, you increase the size. And the nutrient composition is good. Their meat quality fine. You can decide that You cannot go into fish farming, but then you set up a shop and deal in fish feed. Not only their feed, we have medication we give to them when they are sick. They also fall sick. We have their net, the scoop net, the huan, all those things that we use there. So you can just get yourself and say, right, the fisherman's friend, and you sell everything fishing. So all the people around will come to your shop and buy what they want. I am sure somebody is waiting. So if I sell those things, should I sell catfish feed as well? Were you not planning to ask? Do you know the answer I'll give you? Yes. And I will explain to you why. You remember yesterday I told you very soon we will do some changes in some of the things we do. Today, catfish production is not only for consumption. Yes. People are rearing them for other purposes. Let me give you more examples so you will understand what I'm saying. Snail, for example, we are not supposed to go into snail farming. I will never teach you. But I know everything. Don't ask me how. I am a scientist. I was trained by a public university. So I'm telling you what it is. But, you know, we have been told we don't have to eat snail. And it is true. We still stand by it. But do you know that today snail farmers are not producing snails because of consumption? 3 things are obtained from them. I'm going to tell you all of them. The slime, the liquid that comes from them, is slimy. We call it the snail slime. We have a machine we call slime extractor. We have a lot in Ghana. You put the snail in it and you press it to roll them and extract all the slime from them. They won't die. It's just like somebody going to donate blood in the hospital. They won't die. Then you send the snail back intact. Now the liquid you get, the machine has a place that will dry it. And then when it dries, it becomes hard. Then it grinds it into powder. Today, in the US, 5 grams of that snail slime is costing $5. You know 5 grams? The small spoon we use to feed babies. Yes, it's 5 grams. $5. What do we use it for? We use it in some of them are used in chemical industries, in production of medicines. Every single hair product that we use, including the shampoo and all that you use to make your hair dye it and contain that substance. So we are using it. Hair creams contain that substance. It's also used in producing pomades for the skin. So whether you are eating it or not, you are eating it. Are you getting it? Number 2, when you remove the snail, there is a bluish substance in it. You remember those times when you used to eat it, it is a bit bitter, and you remove it. Now, when they kill the snail, they remove that blue thing. Do you know it is used in making medicine? A very powerful substance. It is very expensive. If you have anybody who have it, tell him he should call me. I'll connect him. He will send it outside. Russia, Ukraine, Germany, they will buy it. Serious. That blue substance. Number 3, the shell of the snail, as it works. When you get a lot of them, grind it in a mill. It will form a powder. Get fresh coconut, the normal coconut we eat. Cut the peel into smaller pieces and dry it for about a week. Then grind that one too. That will also be a powder. Mix it with the snail shell. The two of them, when you put it together, use it to plant any crop. You don't need fertilizer again. It's organic fertilizer. If you don't want to use it to plant, remove the coconut part from it. The snail shell that you have grinded, add soya bean to it and use it to feed your poultry. They will grow fat. Are you getting it? So you realize that now there is diverse. Knowledge is becoming wider and bigger. And as I'm talking to you, all these 3 products I've told you, go back to Ghana, young people are into it. And they are producing them. Other crops. Tubers, cassava. Today, cassava is not only produced for domestic consumption. Apart from using it at home for our various dishes and delicacies, we also grow it for starch, for flour, for ethanol. You know that. Industrial starch is a very lucrative thing. India is in Africa now looking for it. They even have a fund, and if you go online, check on Indian website, they have organizations that if you can plant a certain quantity of acreage, they will give you counterpart funding and have a contract with you. They will pick all the starch to India. It is mandatory. You go online, you find these things there. It's there. And they want that. Ethanol, a very important chemical used in so many things, including hand sanitizers. So they are all coming. In Ghana today, our research institute, farmers come. Then we ask them, what do you want to produce? If you want to produce ethanol, we have the kind of sticks they will give you to go and plant. If you want to produce flour, we have the type. So today, when you eat bread in Ghana, most of the bread you are eating, the flour is made from cassava. Because we are trying to win the country off flour from Ukraine. And so because of the war. And now we are shifting to cassava and yam for our bread and cakes. And that has almost immediately made cassava expensive in Ghana today. And now cassava farmers are enjoying seriously. Go and see, everybody wants to plant cassava. So today, if you want to cook it at home and you go a little quantity, they give you a high price because the industry is now competing for it. The same applies to yam. Chips. If you get to Ghana today, most of the chips you are eating is prepared from yam. Banana. As for that one, from my childhood, I don't know. Only few people grow banana almost in every country. And the bigger portion of it is exported. I don't know why. It's as if we are used to one type of crop because of the agri and the culture. What about pawpaw? Are you aware it is one of the economic crops that can change you from poverty to wealth? Very good crop. Now people are buying the seedlings and busily planting them. It is very important. And I don't know, they sell them in shops. People even peel them and package and be selling on the roadside. Yes. You won't believe it. But when you go into it, you know it is very lucrative. It is also a type of passive income. You can intercrop it for the first season. Then the second season, you allow it to grow. 2 years' time, it grows tall. You cut it down and replant. And the seeds are found in agrochemical shops. You nest them. You get egg crate, the paper crate that we use to fill eggs. You put your soil in it and do the nursery in it. When they germinate, you can easily remove them and plant them in the field. And it helps a lot. It makes money. In fact, I have a lawyer friend. He's a lawyer. And he has over 50 hectares of pawpaw. I am telling you. So he has arranged his time such that Sundays and Wednesdays, he doesn't go anywhere. He will go to the farm and harvest, and the people will come and buy. He gets his money, then he comes back. If you ask him, he will tell you, me, pawpaw, I will never stop planting. Why? Because it is not easily attacked by diseases. So the risk level is low. And there is market all the time. Plantain, beautiful crop. We can do it, both the ripe and whatever. But I don't want to say much because those are the ones that agri and culture have taught us already. Mushroom. Great one. Tomorrow we are learning it. If you don't come, you have mixed it. We want to learn. Yes. Yes, morning session. We are learning how to prepare mushroom. At home, you need a small parcel of land. Do you know something interesting? This afternoon I was coming for Elder. Then a man just called me and said, I like your dress. There was a lady who talked about this dress this morning. Is she here? Please see me before we close. No, there was a younger lady. She told me she's into fabric and something. Because she didn't come. Oh, sorry. The man just saw me and said, sir, are you a Ghanaian? I said, yes. Say, yes, this dress, many people are asking, where can we get it here in Nigeria? I said, do you want? Say yes. I want the white. I saw somebody also wearing the blue. It was also nice. And I said, you can get any color. In fact, you can even give them your preferred colors. In Ghana, political parties give it to them and they can mold it in your political colors for you. He said, so where can I find it here in Abuja? I said, I don't live here. He said, oh, please. Then he took my card. I will arrange and send some to me. I'll go and collect it. Don't you think it's a business opportunity? I wish I was living in Abuja. I wish I was here. You see, when the women met in Ghana in 2019, do you remember? Women ministry. Somebody came to open a shop in Ghana. And you know, all the women came with their women ministry cloth from the various unions. So they realized that every union had a different design. Our Ghanaian women, including my own wife, got sample of each of them. Then they opened a shop. So they had the women ministry cloth for Nigeria, for Cote d'Ivoire, and they were selling them. Twice the price of Ghana's own. And our women were buying it. You see, you need to think. At that conference, my wife attended it. We looked at the bill, how much they were going to charge. Then my wife said, I will attend the conference. Oh, that's good. I said, but they will pay my bills and everything and give me pocket money. I said, hey, is there a new position they have given you in the church? And they will pay everything. Yes. I said, how? So don't worry, they will pay. I know how I'll tell them to pay. So they held a meeting and they said every country should come with a negative with the flag. You remember? Today, my woman was showing me that of Ghana. The one you were holding, my wife was, this is my wife who did it. So quickly she went to town, looked for a company and said, I want you to produce this thing for me and get me pieces of Ghana flag. Then she called the union director of women ministry and said, look, I have them all. Don't let the women go around and be struggling. No problem. Give me the various conferences. And she supplied. So most of the things you saw in Kumasi were produced by my wife. And so she took her conference fees and everything out of it and brought the receipt. I told you they will pay for my fees. And they paid. I said poverty is never in the pocket. It's in the mind. Me, when I go for meeting and we are talking, as we are talking, I'm taking notes. The notes I take, there are two. I take my personal notes and I take the business notes. Wherever you meet people, you must get an opportunity. Now, I am looking up to somebody from here who will say, I will deal in this fabric. It is from Ghana, but definitely you get some Nigerians who are willing to wear it. Of course, after all, we are all Africans. And you begin to make your money. Don't go and buy them in bulk and lock your cash. Just get 2 or 3 pieces. We have for women, we have for children, different colors, different designs. Then take pictures of all of them and open a Facebook account. And put it there, dealers in African wear. Don't say Ghanaian wear. Because you can get something from Benin as well, including Nigeria. Now, you just say order. For orders, call this line. So when they call and they say, I pick item number 24, that is this time. You call your source, they deliver and you go and deliver. And you are making money in your bedroom. You see, money can travel across borders. So don't restrict yourself. Do anything to make money before you sleep. If today you are going to bed without making any money, you are in deficit. So tomorrow we are learning mushroom. And mushroom, if all of us in this room, there is some perception. Sometimes when we do training like this, you see somebody say, hey, Edda, so all these people who are coming to learn, if they all do, then where will be the market? And I ask, who told you? Can we feed over 200 million Nigerians in this country? We can't. Do your own. Don't forget that not everybody who will come will actually go and do it. Don't you know? Potato, brilliant crop. It's also used for flour. Both of them, both the Irish one, they are good. In fact, do you know it is one of the helpful fruits? We eat both the leaves. Do you eat the leaves? Hey, the leaves are good. Go and join those who are the some. Join the some. Just cut it in pieces and it is nutritionally good. I have it on my compound and we plant it basically for the leaves. The sweet potato. Yes, the leaves. Both. Millet, sorghum, wonderful crops. Then the beans, soya bean, red beans, cereals, grains. Hey, where would you invest in this and you'll be at a loss? Please. We call something contract farming. Those of you the Lord has blessed, do it. At the beginning of the farming season, go to where they plant these grains and give the farmers a little financial support. You can buy boots for them, cutlasses, some few inputs, share for them, and then you try the best you can to arrange with them. When they harvest, they will bring everything to you. You can buy it when it is cheap and store. When the price go up, you sell and you make your money. Let me finish with passive cropping. Trees that can give you money. I'm talking about teak. You know teak? Cashew, citrus, cocoa, coconut, oil palm, mango, rubber, share apple, sweet and sour apple. You know that plant? And share nut. Any of these three crops you plant is a passive business. Any of them. Even in your retirement, it will give you money. In your retirement. I'll pick this one and speak a little about it. Coconut is one of the helpful trees in the world. The military, when they go for training, they give it to some of them when they are sick as drip. Because the water is clean and it can go into your bloodstream without any problem. Now, when you plant it, it can last for 40 years. Currently, through the help of research, Malaysia has led the way, and I think now almost the world is following same. We are planting the hybrid type that starts fruiting 3.5 years to 4 years. And when it fruits from 3.5 years, it will fruit up to 40 years. If you get a good place and you take good care of it, coconut is the only tree crop in the world that bears fruit throughout the 12 months of the year. Every month it bears fruit. That is why every month of the year, when you need coconut, you can get it. It is not like mango and orange where sometimes it is off-season. If you look at it, sometimes in a month, the coconut tree will produce 2 flower bunches. Even sometimes 3. But let us assume that it produces 1 every month. I know it will produce more, but let's use 1. It means in a year, it will produce 12 flower bunches. Research says that for coconut to consider it as growing very well, when you cut 1 bunch, the coconut fruit should be from 18 to 42. If you cut it and it contains 6, 12, it's not yielding well. Now, I have some farmers, when we go to their farms, you cut it down, 38, 41, thereabout, 1 bunch. You count the fruits. Let us assume that you have 1 acre. 1 acre, okay, let me go into, which of them are you familiar, hectare or acre? You are hectare, okay. Because hectare is 2.5 acres. So let's go to 1 hectare. 1 hectare of coconut, the current breed that we are using, you plant between 65 to 70 of acre. So times 2.5 is 70. That will be 175 per hectare. 175 per hectare. So let's assume that you have only 1 hectare. That's all you have, 1 hectare. We are going to do a short calculation for you to understand. The first 3 years, we intercrop. So you can plant other crops, including ginger, including maize, and sometimes some of the vegetables. After 3 years, you stop the intercropping. Because by that time, the coconut has begun fruiting, so you allow it to grow. When you intercrop, as you are weeding through your farm, the coconut is in it, because coconut must grow at a certain interval, preferably 29 feet away from each other. We don't plant them too close. When they are too close, they don't yield much. Now, let's do some calculation and see how much you can get from 1 hectare. When you start yielding, we harvest it every 23 days. You have to go and harvest. So in a year, you harvest 17 times in 1 year. So you can virtually plan. That is why you can even infuse it into your schedule and say that when I harvest on the 1st, I'll harvest on 24th, the next month 19th, next month. And so those farmers, they have them on their calendars so they know when they are going to harvest them. Let's say you are on retirement. You can plant it 3.5 years time. You've started yielding. You will harvest till you die. And the good news is that after 6 years, the canopy reaches each other. There's no weed, so you don't control weed again. If you want to enrich the soil, you prepare these snail shells and mix it to poultry dropping and dump at the base, and the crop is growing. There will be no weed to control. And you are through. It only has a problem when it is 3 to 4 years. A certain black weevil try to eat it from the apical stem. And we have a way to handle them using a certain net. We just use to trap them and you take them away. After 5 years, they hardly will come again. They won't come again. So let's assume you have 175 trees in 1 hectare. Now let's assume that your farm, on the average, every month, they all produce 1 bunch. You didn't get 2. Let's assume that your farm was not good. So you didn't get 42, 35. So all the time when you have it, you get 20, 21. Let's take the lower number. So let's take 20. So it means first harvest, when you go, you cut 1 branch down, you count, you have 20 fruits. Isn't it? Multiply by 175. 3,500. How much do they sell coconut on the roadside here in Nigeria? 500. But that is on the roadside. You know the farm gate is cheaper. So selling it 500 on the roadside means they might have purchased, let's say, 300 in the farm, isn't it? So let's use 300, the farm. Multiply 3,500 by 300. What do you get? 1 million. That is one, not a year, 1 harvest. 23 days. Assuming you are on retirement and every 23 days you get 1 million, would you be thinking you are poor? So I tell people who are preparing for retirement that get at least 1 hectare. For me, I say agriculture begins from 5 hectares. I tell people. But if you can't get 5 hectares and can get 1, start it. So if you want to know how much you will get in the whole year, multiply this amount by 17. And that is your annual income. And you are imagine 17 million naira in your hands in a year on retirement. Can't you pay your medical bills and do everything? And you are not going to weed anything. It's what? It's only coconuts. Oh my goodness. You see, Ada, let's have retirement conference. You see, we will learn a lot. We need to change the status quo. We need to change the concept that poverty is with us. We are Africans, naturally poor. We are not. If we cannot pick from the problems of the world, we will create our own. Is it not right? Coconut is a poverty crop. To take all your poverty away. So imagine somebody with 5 hectares. This is 1 hectare in 1 year. And who will buy it? I'm sure somebody was asking, are you sure they will buy it? Let me tell you why it is good. Coconut has 0 post-harvest loss. Because when it matures, and even 23 days you forget you didn't go. 46 days you forgot you didn't go. What will happen? It will dry and become hard. When it becomes hard, the harder one is more expensive than the fresh one. Now the Chinese in Africa, what they do is that all you need is to tell them you have the coconut. They will bring a machine that the machine will break the pod, extract the water and then the fiber, they export it to their country. And they pay you right in the farm. As for the market, today Ghana, We have a lot of coconut farms, but we are only able to meet 29.1% of the national demand. We cannot even satisfy it. That is what we consume. Oh. And last year, 2022, we were the 14th best international export for coconut. Now we are trying to replace coconut with. I will say it out of the microphone. They want us not to say this in public. So I didn't say anything. If you have cocoa, continue to plant it. Hallelujah. That's fine. If you need further explanation, call me We will talk. Dear brethren, I am only trying to entice you that there are many options. Many. From morning till now, can you count the number of things you have talked about? So you look through and pick 2 or 3. Just that. But for tomorrow evening, don't miss it. We'll talk about something powerful. Tomorrow morning, after the morning session, we'll do the mushroom training. Agro processing, go into it. Cereals, get soya bean, get your company brand. Just label it, package it nicely, remove all the pebbles. We have some machine called destoner. You can make it to remove all the stones, package it nicely, and people buy it. You see, you must create a class, particularly if you are in Abuja, where you have the elite of the country here. They will prefer to buy that package than to go and buy it from the one selling on the ground. So you solve the problem and you add a little to it and they don't care. Tubers, buy them and package them nicely. Vegetable, lettuce, carrot, package them nicely with your company name nicely. What about fruits? Best. Nice. Packaging. As for fruits, you can even juice them and use it to prepare ice cream, fruit juices. I wanted my wife to come and teach this thing, watermelon juice and ice cream. You will love it. So when somebody is busy preparing for his wedding, you're also busy preparing for your ice cream. By the time you finish, a fraction of the income that came to the wedding ground has leaked into your pocket, legally. Meat. Go to Kenya. They are doing it nicely. They will go to the abattoirs and get the meat nicely, wash them nicely, and put them in a rubber, seal them, and register and so meat nicely. Then they will put it in a glass, standing by the ministries where the elite are. Yes, what meat is this? And they will prefer to buy than to go and buy the one that is flooded with flies, a lot of house flies and all those things. And we package them. Now we have them in sachets. So when you are traveling, you can have them and smear them. Mushroom, herbal medicine. Our traditional medicine, not the one that spiritual people do incantation. We talk about the natural herbs. You can package all these things and sell and become a whole lot. Even today, we have herbal medicine shops in town where you can get variety of the different types of herbal medicine to buy. Dear friends, we have no time to be poor. In all this, we ask the Lord to show us the way. Good evening. We want to pray. We want to pray. Our Master Jesus, we thank you. You have spoken to us and we are happy. May we not forget what you have told us. Assign each of us to where our abilities and interests will fall. Give us the courage to pursue what will lead us out of poverty. Bless this church, the church pastor, the elders, the entire conference, the union, and in fact the entire division. Let this program bring change. Change that will see us move from poverty to wealth. Change that will see us revived in our faith. Change that will see us work towards your kingdom for salvation. I want to thank you. I particularly want to ask you, Lord, to bless my dear friends who are not Seventh-day Adventists. But throughout this program, they have been with us. Father, bless them bountifully. Let them experience contact with you. Whatever they kneel down to pray about, my dear Lord, listen to them for me. As we prepare to give a covenant offering this Sabbath, touch the heart of everyone that will give what is befitting your status as the King of the universe. And when we do it, Lord, bless us accordingly. We want to thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.